Pride and performance. Higher, faster, stronger. The ultimate guide to getting fit on 1116 SEN.
Yes, welcome to Higher, Faster, Stronger here on 1116 SEN, Melbourne's home of sport. Huge show to come. Myself, Scott Cooney, Timmy Hazel, prosport.net.au and Brian Rabinowitz, brianinspires.com.au. Welcome back, gentlemen.
It's great to be here, Scotty. I've missed the Higher, Faster, Stronger family, and Brian, I've certainly missed you indeed. How have you been?
I've been well, Tim. I've really missed our connection, and we've heard from so many people who miss the content of Higher, Faster, Stronger, but at least we have the opportunity with Scott guiding us through to do these occasional podcasts, which is really good.
I tell you what, one of the fantastic things I've really noticed is the support that we have had, and it's been absolutely humbling. You know, checking Facebook and emails and getting the odd text message. But one of the things, Scotty, I've missed, and I miss you, Scotty. Always miss talking health and fitness with you, but I do miss the great man, Brian, sitting in here in the Lycra, just calming my nerves on a Wednesday morning before getting out there and getting amongst it. But Brian, tell us your lead into Melbourne Ironman. How's all the prep going?
It's going pretty well. We've been doing some really quality training. I've had some challenges with my bike setup, which I spent a good few hours today getting organised by my good friend Andrew Wind at Bourne Sports Physio and Peter Hip with the Top Gear Cycles. They took me under their wing and the other wing and the other left wing and the right wing, and we made some adjustments, and we reckon we've got it pretty nutted out now. So yeah, time's drawing short very quickly, Tim. 2.5 weeks to go, and from around the traps, people that I know, I've never seen more time trial bikes down my neck of the woods on the peninsula as I have in these last 4 to 6 weeks. It's like every man and his pet is about to undertake the Melbourne Ironman.
Brian, you've come back all guns blazing as well. Tell us what the listeners will be treated to very, very shortly this morning.
Well, we've just had the honour of Craig Alexander, 3-time Hawaii Ironman world champion, 2008, 2009 and 2011, in which year he set a new course record for Kona, by about 15 seconds quicker than Luke Van Lieder, who had held the record for, I think, about 15 years. Craig is also the first man to win the World Ironman and 70.3, which is a half Ironman distance, in the same year in 2011. And we had a wonderful chat to him covering, first of all, the aspects of the Melbourne Ironman in terms of what he's looking forward to and who he sees as being his greater challenges, with a bit of advice for first-timers with regard to their hydration and nutrition. We then covered some brief aspects around Kona. And then we got onto the personal side, and Craig, with his wife Nerid and his 2 children, Lucy and Austin, are expecting a third child on the 20th of May, in actual fact, just 3-4 days before the race. And that tells us that Team Alexander will grow by 1 by the time the race is over, please God. So I think it was great talking to him. He's such a gentleman in every respect of the word, and we're very privileged to have him as an Australian representative in what is now very much a global sport.
It's a great interview, so to all our listeners, strap yourself in and listen to Brian having a chat to the great Craig Alexander.
Right now, here on Higher, Faster, Stronger on 1116 SEN, Melbourne's home of sport. It's our privilege to be joined by 3 times Hawaii Ironman world champion, first man to win World Ironman in 70.3 in the same year, and of course many more accolades. There are a new course record in the Hawaiian Ironman world champion of 2011, also won in 2008 and 2009. I speak of none other than Craig Alexander. Thanks for joining us, Craig.
My pleasure.
Craig, in 2012, last year, you and Cam Brown, the New Zealand Ironman legend, had an incredible duel where he pushed you to your first sub-8-hour IM. For our listeners' info, many of whom are triathletes, cyclists and runners, it's worth sharing your equivalent times, which are astonishing to say the least. 3.8 kilometre swim, you apparently were swimming an average of 40-second lap times in a 50-metre pool for just under 77 laps. Your average bike speed of 41 kilometres an hour was incredible. And your running pace of 3 minutes 50 seconds per kilometre for the marathon is quite astounding. Can you share with our listeners, Craig, what it felt like to push so hard in the culmination of a sub-8-hour IM?
Yeah, no, it was a great feeling. I mean, I'm never one personally to get too caught up in times. Obviously, it looks great on my resume to say I have a sub-8. I think, a lot of it's very condition dependent. And obviously last year with the race in Melbourne, we were, I would say, blessed. I think we had great conditions. for racing. You know, I don't think we could have, as athletes, you could ask for anything more than what we got. So, you know, it felt amazing. I mean, you know, I think obviously for me, you know, when I'm fronting up for the race in Hawaii, I'm in the best shape that I get in all year. And I think that course over there is very tough, predominantly the conditions, the humidity and the wind. I think I was pretty close to that shape when...
Sorry, you just dropped out there for a moment, Craig. Craig?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, you just dropped out for a moment there. You were talking about the difference in terms of Kona and the challenges that the course presents to you, and how incredible a day it was in Melbourne last year in terms of conditions. You couldn't have had better.
Yeah, I think it was a culmination of, you know, obviously a great level of fitness, but also a great field that was assembled by the organisers. They had plenty of guys who had finished in the top 10 in Hawaii the previous year, and all those things led to a sub-8 hour time.
Well, you know, it's interesting you mentioned that, Craig, because amongst the men this year, Cam Brown is again racing. He came third in New Zealand on Sunday. And Nico Lanis from Spain, Jordan Rapp, you'll know all these guys well. Local Aussies such as Luke Bell, David Della and Tim Burkle. And a huge coup for race organisers is the confirmation of Marina van Hoenacker from Belgium, who, as our listeners may not know, currently holds the record for the fastest IM in about 7 hours, 46 minutes. Where do you expect your biggest challenges to come from?
Well, you know, as you mentioned, it's a great field. I think, you know, the way the global landscape is structured now, outside of Hawaii, the three main races are the regional championships. Asia Pacific, obviously the Melbourne Ironman, and Frankfurt's the European champs and the North American championships. And, you know, having Marino and Jordan come out and race there, the other current regional champions. So, along with myself, all three regional champions from last year will be represented. I mean, it could come from anywhere this time. I expect Marino and Jordan to be in great shape. And Nico is a very consistent athlete as well, has been for a long time. Cam this year, I'm not sure. Last year it was interesting because Ironman New Zealand was shortened to a half Ironman 3 weeks before because of weather. So I think this year it's going to be a big challenge for him to try and recover from last weekend and turn, you know, short turn around. So.
Very valid, Craig. Look, amongst the field of 2,200, there's going to be a number of first-timers. Any advice then with regard to particular regard to their hydration and nutrition?
You know, I think, you know, hydration and nutrition are things that you just need to practice. You need to practice in your training. I wouldn't change too many things. Obviously, everyone who's been training for this event has been practicing. I wouldn't change anything or too much in race week, and I certainly wouldn't change your nutrition strategy on race day. You know, what has worked for you in training will work. I think the main thing is just relax and enjoy the whole experience if you're a first time. You know, it's an unbelievable race, Melbourne. Not too many Ironman races take place in a big city, particularly a sporting city like Melbourne. So, you know, it was one of the highlights of my certainly of my racing career to finish, you know, with the shadows of the Melbourne CBD in the backdrop. It's a unique race, particularly with the point-to-point marathon as well. So I'd just say to the first timers, really just relax and enjoy the whole experience. Soak up the atmosphere.
I'd love to tell you, Craig, that I'll provide you with some stiff competition on the 24th, but I'm likely to be just a tad slow, so don't look out for me. I won't be on your tail.
Okay, I won't. Thanks for the heads up.
Craig, Kona, what events have you targeted this year, and will your strategy be any different? In other words, do you think you'll forego competing in the World 70.3?
No, I love that distance. It's my favourite distance. You know, it brought me my first world title in 2006. I think it's my best distance. You know, I'm a little disappointed. There's 5 weeks between Vegas and Kona. I kind of like the shorter turnaround, the 4 weeks. It seemed to work better for me in 2011. But at this stage, the plan is to do both. You know, I've got a very limited racing schedule this year for a lot of reasons. Obviously, you know, I'm getting up in age, but also I have a young family. I don't want to travel as much.
Sure.
Challenge. And as I said in 2011, I think it would be a great accomplishment to finish on the podium in both. To win both would be, to be a phenomenal achievement. You know, give myself a best. I feel like it's a hard time in this. So definitely.
Yeah, you're just breaking up a bit, Craig. You know, in 2011, when you overcame Luke Van Lieder's record, which has been held, I think, for quite a number of years, one of the keys to your success was an outstanding bike split, and you put the specialized Shiv bike on the marketplace. I have to ask you something because I'm riding a Shiv now. What's your secret to storing your nutrition on the bike without affecting that hydration system?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's got the fuselage system, so you can store plenty. I just put water in that, but I carry normally 2 bottle cages, one in my aero bars and one behind the saddle. So I'll start the ride in Melbourne as I have done all Ironmans where I've raced the ship with 2 bottles in the fuselage, and then obviously with the on-course nutrition, I think there's plenty of opportunity to get everything you need out there. So,
fantastic.
So I mean, fuselage system it's very unique in that you can carry 700 or 800 ml of water.
Yep.
And it's concealed away so it doesn't affect the aerodynamic performance of the bike.
Craig, Nerida and your children Lucy and Austin and yourself make up Team Alexander, also known very popularly as the first family of triathlon. And you've been quoted as saying amongst all the titles you have won, your favorite is Daddy. Can you tell our listeners how you manage your life as a family man and full-time traveling pro triathlete?
Well, it's difficult. You need, as any triathlete would tell you, need good help. You need a lot of support on the home front, and I get that. Ultimately, it's my job, so I have to log up. I mean, I take my hat off to a lot of the amateurs who are training for a race like Melbourne in amongst family commitments and work commitments. To me, they're the real heroes of the sport. I mean, my job is to train, so I get plenty of opportunity when the kids are at school to do that. The travelling thing, it presents, there's logistical challenges, absolutely, when you relocate a family for 4 or 5 months of the year. But a lot of that falls to my wife. I'm very lucky. I just get great help. I think, I guess it appears to be an important thing on the start. You need a lot of help to get there. You need a lot of support and just logistical help just to make things happen on the home.
Well, Team Alexander is about to have a new addition. Isn't that true, Craig, that this month you're expecting a new addition to the family?
Yeah, we're expecting number 3 on the 20th of March is the due date. So
good timing.
Yeah, well, it could be. But, I mean, family is the most important thing. We're really excited to be having a third. We always wanted more than 2. So, it's going to be a busy year, but an exciting year. Our eldest is now 7 and our little fella's 3. So, but it's going to make travelling tough as always. But like I say, you need a lot of help, and my wife's very capable in that regard. She's just very hands-on and always makes things happen. So, I'm very lucky.
You certainly are, Craig. I wonder how many of our listeners know that you've been trained as a physiotherapist. To what degree do you apply that training to the management of your body, which we know is so crucial when competing in IM events?
There's no question that the knowledge I have from my degree about anatomy and physiology has helped me not only with my body maintenance, but also with my training. I learned early on in my degree about the principles of athletic training and endurance training, so that's certainly helped me writing programs for myself. And but it's the old saying, do you practice what you preach? It's easy to preach about what you're meant to do, but as an athlete, I think we all have a tendency to go overboard sometimes and overtrain, and I'm no different.
Yeah.
You think you know what you should be doing, but then you go out and do something else regardless. So
often the case. Craig, what are your thoughts? Sorry, I beg your pardon. What are your thoughts around going into physio when your racing career is over?
Yeah, well, I think I have to go back and relearn everything because I graduated 15 years ago. So I'm sure the whole body of knowledge has changed in the theory. But it's certainly, it's an avenue that's open to me, absolutely. And I was a physio student before I was a triathlete, so there was never any question I was going to finish the degree. And, I guess early on in my career, I felt it was a little bit of a hindrance because, a lot of the guys who were my age were already racing internationally, and I had to stay home for a few extra years. But it certainly has provided a lot of security knowing that I have that degree behind me.
Craig, Dave Scott, who's a legend in the world of Ironman triathlon, said about you that you were the first true men's champion the sport has seen in years. What impact did that have on you? Well,
it's an honour because he was probably the first real champion the sport had seen way back when. Between he and Mark Allen, I think they put the sport of triathlon on the map. Triathlon's a lot of things now. We're in the Olympic Games and it's evolved into truly global sport. But there's no question, I think Dave and Mark and Paul and Newby Fraser probably piggybacked the sport for a long time. And, it's an honour. I consider Dave a friend, and it's humbling that he would say that. I just do my thing. I just try to be the best athlete I can be and the best ambassador I can be for the sport and for my sponsors. Ultimately, I'm not going to lie, it's really nice to be held in that sort of regard, particularly by someone like Dave.
I had the opportunity of speaking to you in Perth in 2009 at the World Championships, the World Long Course Championships, and I can fully understand why Dave Scott said that about you, Craig. The truly great sports people of the world are dignified, they are humble, and they are gracious. You amplify these characteristics to the nth degree. And I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. The sport of triathlon is actually blessed to have you in its ranks, Craig, and Australia is both proud and fortunate to have you as its own. All the best with the birth of your baby. Race safe on the 24th of March, and may the wind always be at your back. And thank you, Craig, for being our guest on Higher, Faster, Stronger on SEN Radio.
Oh, I appreciate those kind words, and thanks for having me on. It's always fun.